there are a couple places where we're going to collaborate on some things, and we're going to create a master list for you to be able to use when you're creating your own choice boards. So first of all, if you open this presentation, looks like that, you're going to have a link to a Jamboard. And I saved the other Jamboard for the other group, and I sent their Jamboard to them. Linda is coming, so we'll at least have her thoughts and ideas on there as well. First of all, choice board, learning menus, not a new thing, right? Not even close to being new. I think back in the day, we did them on paper, and it was, have you guys, I'm assuming you guys have had experience with some choice boards. So how did you used to do them? What were your choice boards for?
Homework.
Yeah.
Use it at the takeaway menu.
Menu, yes. A menu. Here you go. Here's your week's worth of homework.
Tic-tac-toe. I was looking at that a little bit.
Yeah, it was fine. Your tic-tac-toe. The whole idea behind it, what's the purpose of using the choice board?
So,
So there's only a couple of us, so we can just chat about it instead of doing it on the Jamboard. But the other part, we will log all of the activities because there's a ton of them that we can, and it's nice to have a massive list, I think. Yeah, so the one thing that people talk about is engagement. How do you engage learner? Novelty, variety, choice. Choice is a big one. But it have to be meaningful choices. So it goes back to that first slide, building meaningful choices. You can go back and you can look at choice boards. I can look at choice boards that I made, and I'm like, okay, great. What was that a meaningful choice? Every choice board should have on there the purpose and the topic. You will see some that are really designed perfectly that miss that aspect of it. Well, it sets the stage for the child, right? At the top. Like your takeaway menu. So you taught what math? Science. Okay, so topic in science that you would have covered. Periodic table. And so then the purpose of this is to become more familiar or practice and show me what you know about the periodic table. Okay? So now we look at things, and as far as activities are concerned, we say, what are activities that, one, are exploratory, right? That they might not know about. So for example, when I taught 7th grade science, we used Wonderopolis, which if you haven't used it, great immersive world. And what was great about it is that I used it to introduce kids to photosynthesis. We're going to introduce you to, and then they went through the little thing. It was homework. So if that was in my takeaway menu, I would say, yes, this one is for practice. They don't know anything about it. Then you have activities that explore, explain, apply, reflect, add student voice. You'll have activities on there that you will design specifically for show me what you know. I don't think when I first started building choice boards, I thought about it that critically. Honestly. I didn't take a look at every activity I was giving the kids and said, oh, this is great for this. This is great for that. People will also do it with multiple intelligences. Where are my multiple intelligences here? So there is some deep thinking there, and it can take a lot of time to build a really good choice board. But once you get a template you're happy with, you can remix that all the time. Of course, now they talk about, now we're digitizing it. You do not have to have a completely digital board. I will say once you embark on choice boards, if you're using them with your HyperDocs, you can actually have a choice board that's your HyperDoc, by the way. But that if you're not familiar with HyperDocs, it may be too far out there. But this is the JAM. I'm just going to open it because we're going to use it throughout the for the next part of the session. So when you walk away, so the first one was as soon as it loads, by the way, sorry. So this is called JotSpot, by the way, which you can use with your students. A very quick way for them to add a sticky note and say, you guys set a choice board. You said you use a takeaway menu. You for homework. Okay, so that'd be one. And then if you give the kids numbers, you don't actually have to, you can just put them in the quadrants, which I like. And then you can have the kids organize them by, topics. So it's a really good trick, to get the kids involved, brainstorming, and then have them categorize their responses. This is a Jamboard. Anyway, the next part you'll leave here today also with these things. So I like to divide, there's no magic to this. You can do explore, explain, apply, reflect, create, or your activities. But if we look at activities that are designed for exploring, activities that are designed for practicing, and then activities that show me what you know, especially when you do a homework takeaway, like for a unit did you use it for a unit or a week or what?
Yeah, we did it over like a unit of work. So
Yeah.
it was like a unit, and during that, how many weeks they had to do start May, engineering.
Yeah.
The week.
So then you would have naturally had activities that fit that whole spectrum, which is beautiful. You do want that. Now, you're going to hear these. Choice boards are also learning menus. Don't get confused, okay? But you're going to hear about, I will do sessions later on playlists, hyperdocs. We use them in the American section. We've done a lot of training. You're probably so sick of hearing about a hyperdoc, aren't you? And the 5 E's that go on, the design elements of learning. Now, the British section is a little bit different with their hyperdoc, but nonetheless, this is the difference. And I wanted to show you, because your choice boards by nature can take on so many different forms. But the major difference between a choice board and a playlist is just one thing. And it's not even the packaging, what it looks like. What's the only thing different between a playlist that you might do for your students? No, I'm just saying this is how long it's taking to load these pictures. By the way, this is done in docs. Super important you choose. Do I want to do mine in docs, slides, or drawings? If you like it better, you can do it in ThingLink. If you're a ThingLink user, you'd probably do yours in ThingLink. Now, the only difference between putting it in a doc or a slide, really one thing. Well, two things, if you want to get fancy, is that in a slide, I can embed a video. Here, I'm linking it, right? So this is a playlist. So this teacher put together this playlist, and in the middle it says, hey, I want you to make an interactive ThingLink image or a Google presentation. So there's choice there. But what does the student have to do? They got to do all those things. There's no choice. The only choice they've been allowed to use is here in that middle, which is fine. It's not a bad use of it, but it's not a choice board. Sometimes you'll see people call it, look, it's called a choice board. That's a playlist.
Yeah, because they're doing everything that's on it.
And there's no choice but here
Yeah.
in the end product. And usually you'll see a playlist will be a series of things I want you to know and get immersed in. There's a really great one on biographies. And then on this end product is what you're going to produce for me. Usually it's one end product, where a choice board can be a series of activities over a long period of time, over a week, over a month, or after we finish the outsiders, your alternative assessment is to build a portfolio of tic-tac-toe, 5 things. So yeah, I think this person's a really good author. They have some beautiful boards, especially for elementary and like Key Stage 3 middle school. But it's interesting, people kind of use those terms interchangeably and they're just not. Casey Bell has a ton of them. So I probably don't know who I Love Lucy is, but sample. Those are the sample chocolates. So I put together at the very back of this, by the way, this template is a massive choice board. I left the rest of the slides blank in the presentation so you could see, oh, this is called Slides Go. And they have a ton of choice boards. Are you guys Canva users?
Yeah.
Choice board, they have some beautiful choice board templates. And Slides Mania. But you'll see that at the end, I put some links there. So I just put some different ones together. Out of all of these, there are many more, okay? But you can use a choice board as a simple list. I will say this, I've used the 2, 5 to 8 or the 1, 2 to 3, or the 3, 2 to 4, or 2, 3 to 4 a lot when I taught government. I was teaching it to seniors and college level kids at University of South Carolina. I use choice boards all the time for their end products. Now, nothing fancy about this. It doesn't have to be fancy. You can get fancy with a simple list, but here, a simple list, this teacher said, okay, you have to have 20 points. Any activities you want to do, but it must add to 20 points. So of course, so here you have differentiation, right? These are some more challenging things, but she was really smart. I'd have to, if this was 4, it needs to be better. Let's say my outcome was 21 points. I can do 2 of those and 1 of those. I can't do any one category, all of them, and get my number of points. That's the strategy. When you use a simple list with points associated, it's almost like a menu, like a restaurant. You have $20 to spend. Where are you going to spend it? This is the most effective way to use a list, is to give the kids a number, okay? At the end, if it's homework, you have to accumulate and do the number of assignments that equals 15. Be strategic about your point values. It should never be that they can do one category only, because why? This is probably going to be 3 different categories of learning here. Forces them to do something a little bit more challenging, but they still have a choice. Does that make sense? Or no? Yeah? Okay. You also don't want to get to a point where it's too wordy or too, so if I'm an LDD student, what do I need to do? I need to chunk it. Here's a really good way to do it. So I'm going to use this called Mote, and I'm going to record. So I can take out, I can just have here, so this is a really good add-on for docs, slides, drawings. I could just have the topic and use Mote and record what I want them to do. And then it could link to a specific list. This is too much, and they also don't split between the activities, right? They don't split, but what I do like about this is that they give them 3 per category, full stop. You have probably seen choice boards yourself where it's 5, 5, and 5. It gets too much. Then the kids are thinking about the choice and not the curriculum.
Yeah.
You know, so this gets overwhelming. I would, looking at that, when I open up a bingo board, I'll show you it. It's overwhelming to me as an adult. So I strongly encourage you to use bingo boards in class. It's so much more helpful. Or get the kids out and let them choose their number that day before they leave your class if it's a bingo board for homework, because there are a lot of squares. I get lost in the squares. That's me. So that's a simple list, really easy. Now there are nice people will put a background on it. Also for LDD students, for anything you want them to do online, a white background is really, really difficult. So one thing when I present information, by the way, this is a really good add-on. I use something called Screen Shader up here. So if you notice, my screen doesn't look bright white. I'm just going to disable it for 1 second. So I'll go back to a doc. Then when I use Screen Shader, I'm going to enable it now. Recommended shade, reduce eye strain, okay? So that automatically dims my screen a bit. I can probably dim it in a different way, a better way. For this, you can choose, but it's called Screen Shader. Classic night and day. Yeah, that's probably better. Then it just gives a little hue on top of it, so it's not so bright. All right, so let's move on. Now let's look at the tic-tac-toe and the tool board, which I'll explain to this. It's very similar. Tic-tac-toe, these are all copies that are in the back for resource. You do not have to remix this yourself. We use this, not this one exactly, but this kind of idea of tic-tac-toe for summer reading for 7th and 8th grade this year. And I have it in our resource pack in the back. So in so it was really a choice of a choice. So kids could choose their PDF book to read over the summer, and it had the Lexile range and it had a little thing. And then they chose their activities. Now with tic-tac-toe, here, what I like is that we always make the middle part something you have to all do. So in this one, she's like, write one paragraph summary. So you can get a writing sample as an example. And then she actually color codes, like all the blue ones are one type of learning and all the yellow are another type of learning. Kids really don't know that. But if I am doing tic-tac-toe, it's a lot more thinking going in. If I'm doing tic-tac-toe and everyone starts here, no matter how I go, I must do one yellow and one blue. So when you put your tic-tac, so her blue represents one type of learning. The yellow represents another type of learning. I cannot finish this tic-tac-toe board without doing a blue and a yellow activity. So when you design your tic-tac-toe board, of course you wouldn't tell the kids, you probably wouldn't color it this way. If you put these 4 options as, let's say, practice learning, and this show me what you know, then they'll have to do a practice and a show. Or if you want to do it by apply, reflect, create, I can have everyone do a create because that's the biggest one. You want everyone to create something. Then I could have this apply and this reflect. Does that make sense? Your types of activities, your tic-tac-toe board should be designed so kids, or if you're doing multiple intelligences, I'm focusing on kinesthetic and auditory learners. My kinesthetic would be here, my auditory would be here, and another intelligence would be here that I want everyone to do. Well, if this board means, remember this one, this is what I said at the beginning, the one thing that's really important in tic-tac-toe, I like it, which we do, you must do the middle. It means everyone has one thing everyone does. Then you design your board this way, whereas a lot of people will just say, it's okay to have a free choice here. No, but if you do it strategically, you can actually do it where they're doing 3 different types of learning activities. That's important. Lori was in my other session and she made a good point. You don't want the kids doing the same things or choosing the things they're good at. This is how you avoid that. You put the types of learning here, so they're getting 3 different types of learning. You know, I think that's really cool and interesting that they're able to do that. And if you do your tic-tac-toe board, I would advise you to do it this way. Of course, it's up to you. But you can get the biggest bang for your buck out of a tic-tac-toe. Tic-tac-toe is the most used board, by the way. Yeah. So
I like that one.
now, I didn't know if I'd have some technology teachers, but if you have a tool or something you want them to practice, and I'm just using this as Nearpod, in this, it has all the things that Nearpod can do as an example. And then as teachers progress in the training sessions throughout the year, they just check off the things they know they're able to do and they've shown in their Nearpods. So that you could also do something like this where this may last all year. For example, my 7th grade class in the United States or my seniors as an example, at the end of the year, my seniors published a magazine on all the comparative governments in the world, getting ready for their AP exam. And so I would put together almost like a checklist of activities, but for the types of learning, and they use it throughout the year. So at the end of the year, they knew what they didn't practice. And those were things that were going to be on the exam. So they knew, oh, this is my review. So you can also do it in a little bit of a different way. And if I'm teaching technology here, ICT, I could use it as a tool for that. So I can say, oh, these are all the things. I'm going to check off the things I know how to do. Then I know what I need to work on. All right, board game. Now, I wouldn't design a board game because it's so long, but these people do it. They're free. They're out there. Fortnite, Among Us. These are games that kids really like. Copy it. Don't do it yourself. But they've taken an online game and created a kind of a board game, if you will, with it. This is a Fortnite choice board. There's Among Us out there if you want to have some online games that kids play and you want them, I can find them for you, but this is one that I thought was really well done. And the directions are perfect. And it tells you exactly what to do, but it's a really cool choice board. Kids will really like it. This is something that I would probably invest time in if I'm teaching HRCF as a teacher and I'm working with my dean or assistant head. I would say, hey, we did Classcraft last year in 9th grade. It was all year. This is something that you would add on to all year. It does take a lot of effort, or a semester. This takes a lot of effort to design and to embed. It's not a month lesson.
So I built my own role playing.
Yeah,
My students
absolutely. I love it.
And we were able to do a lot of things. Reading, writing, they design their character in the game and they play that character.
Yeah.
Move across the world.
Which is why they loved Classcraft.
It's a team.
Yeah.
I have science in it.
But it's not something you do. Choice boards are usually for a short period of time, whereas that would not be a one-off. Yeah, which is cool. But the people are starting to get more invested in like these board game things, and it's just a long time. Now here's the bingo board. I don't know. You guys don't let me bias you, but tell me what you think when that puppy opens, if it ever opens. It's a Word doc. Does yours open? Great, yours open. All right, so now this is the same number of mine. Yours, you guys are running fine. I'm running slow. So they're open, mine hasn't. So here, okay, this is for PD, but then usually your bingo boards are this number of spaces. Well, it can be, it's up to you, you don't have to. In this, they're doing LEARN and then 1, 2, 3 on the side. So it is 5 by 5. That's a lot of things. Now, older kids probably, when we reveal our HyperDoc to our grade 7s and our grade 8, they get freaked out when they see the whole week. This is something you build up to. You use in class as a bingo board. But again, you'll see a remix here of things that are digitized and things that they can do for themselves at home, aesthetic, manipulative type things that you can do with the board. And then, of course, it can all be digitized. Learning styles. Do you guys, do people, maybe, I saw a lot in government and social studies where they did their whole HyperDoc or their whole choice board around learning styles, which that's a lot of planning right there. I think that's tough. But yeah, so they did. And so some of them are online activities and some are not. 4 C's, of course, that's embedded in there. And then I've given you a planning document, which I find super helpful, especially 4 C's. By the way, I pull this one up, but if I'm LDD, this is going to be really tough for me. So what you would like to, I think, well, what is better here is if you would just outline the boxes instead of do a solid fill or change your font color there, because that does get very distracting if I have dysgraphia. That red especially is really tough. But there's the 4 C's: communication, collaboration, critical thinking, creativity. If this is what I'm working on, you could also use the elements of learning or the elements here. But here again, this is it's designed for younger students if you want them, or yes, it could be for older students as well. But if you're pushing creativity or you want them to be specific, I want you guys to choose one of the boxes in each of the C's, so then you know that they're doing something that's communicative and they're also being collaborative. When I was in school, I liked to work alone. So, for me, I know how to learn. I got to work in a team. Yes, you do. For sports, it was fine, but in class, I wanted to be that loner. So here, people like me, okay, that collaborative portion of it forces that child to do that at least and challenge themselves in that way. Planning document, for me, I would just make sure that my activities are organized as far as the types of activities. And then they're all, of course, there are some links here, but really simple, especially if you're working in a team. If I'm a year 6 teachers, I would team plan it out with a shared choice board planning sheet. Or Emma, in your case, who would you be working with?
Yeah, no, like the other people that teach year 10.
So the year 10 teachers, that's really good. And Todd, maybe for you for the English for choice boards, or collaborating with the LGD team. But what's really interesting about this, especially what you mentioned, that is that if you're sharing knowledge of those children, like if I'm going from year 5, the year 6 teachers get a moving forward document. When you talk about the type of technology, you're already throwing at them the activity. Know what their digital toolbox looks like. So I can tell you for sure in this school, kids use slides, docs, the Google Suite, probably not drawing as much. So you could say, okay, I'm going to add drawing as an example. They use Kahoot and quizzes, but you say, oh, I really love to use Nearpod. I want them to use it. So choose a couple things that maybe they're not as familiar with, or say you can use Kahoot or quizzes to design a quiz bowl game for this topic. So just watch the technology, like Padlet. Okay, some people like it. They like Jamboard or familiar with it. And then you also are going to build your digital toolbox with your kids as you go out throughout the year. There's never been a better time for doing that than now. The why part, I think we know, we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. Knowledge of students is key. I'm going to tell you that it's really hard to build a choice board, except for one that I'm going to show you. That would be a really cool opening week or opening day. Or that first 2 hour you have a 2 hour homeroom. Really cool if you did a scavenger hunt choice board, or this choice board I'm going to show you. Because there was a study of these teachers that were sharing choice boards from the University of Kansas. And it was funny. The one teacher was kind of like the brainchild behind it. And she was sharing with all the other 7th grade, 8th grade math teachers. And they were just modifying it a tad bit. What they found is the real engagement happened with the teacher that actually created it for her kids. Because she knew, it makes sense. High commitment, high attention are the two things that it means engagement. The kids had high commitment to you because they like you as a teacher, but not high attention because you designed it for your kids. So you got to know the kids a bit to see what they like. Do they like to, like, tell you what, those elementary kids, they love a video of themselves. They love a YouTube channel. And you have children of your own, they like to film themselves. They like to TikTok, whatever, do a TikTok video. So yeah, embrace that. Say, okay, you're going to do a TikTok-like video. Don't tell them not to use TikTok, but you're going to do a 2-minute and 50-second video on the following, whatever it happens to be. That could be a choice. Using camera on your phone, out of class, of course. So, and I already talked about the varied ways. How you design your choice board is very strategic. It's not slapped together. I can tell you when I first made choice boards, I put them together by, oh, this would be great. This would be fun. And I actually don't think I took a look at the blueprint of the activities that I was doing. I thought it would be really good. That would be entertaining. They will like this. But then taking it apart like I just showed you, not really. I mean, do we do that all the time? I don't know if we're so busy we don't take the time to think about it in that way. What do you think? Of course, yes.
I put a lot of thought into every student is somehow working with material that
Yeah.
when you get there, it's just,
Exactly. So the first starts with engagement, high attention, high commitment, because that melatonin starts working. They're going to attach the memory to that activity or whatever it happens to be. It has to be worthwhile.
so even if it's like kid learns through art, through drawing, through movement, through whatever, you gotta build that.
And like you can do book snap. I love a good book snap. They're so great. David does a called book snaps. David does them for the library. It's a good book snap, especially for kids that are reluctant readers. Even if you're a topic in science, a quick book snap. We're going to do a book snap today on photosynthesis, or hey, I don't know, sexual and asexual cells. Not a really thrilling, exciting topic. Not like genetics, where you can, oh, this is super cool. Okay, so then we're going to do a book snap. They're really good. And you can use them in any, don't let that name fool you. You can use them in any type of class. I will say that you want to mix it up like multimedia. I love, okay, well, I shouldn't say this. YouTube videos are great, but if you're going to use a YouTube video and you want them to learn from something from it or do a 3, 2, 1, there's an add-on or extension called Why I Note. So as they're watching the YouTube video, they can actually take timed notes in it. I'll show you after we finish. So then they can export their notes or whatever they're doing, the 3, 2, 1, to a Word document and submit it to you. That's a time saver if you don't have time to pop your video into Edpuzzle or Nearpod and put interactive questions in there.
So
Why I Note.
the letter Y, the letter I.
Yeah, I'll show it when we finish, but I found that to be a really good add-on, and it's simple. And guess what? Teachers, we spend a lot of time looking for resources. And if we know this video is good, it takes us another 5-10 minutes to pop it into Edpuzzle and then another to put some interactive questions. You could actually already do the 3, 2, 1 in your HyperDoc and do it that way. Well, Yenote is for YouTube videos. Huh? Yenote, Y-I-Note, is for YouTube videos. It's an extension that opens up in a YouTube video. So then you can export your notes from there. In Edpuzzle, you would put, if you're using Edpuzzle as a teacher, you would put your interactive questions in there. When the kids log in, you would see their activity. They would submit it to you automatically. If you just want them to purely look at a YouTube video, you don't have time to do it as a teacher to put it in Edpuzzle and do all those things for them to complete. It's a really simple way for them to construct meaning or reconstruct meaning from something they're watching. Like in a playlist, they're just watching things. In a choice board, they're watching and doing something with it. Yeah, if you're having a video on it. I really like this. I came across this, and I hadn't really seen choice boards where it's like it's kind of like when my first day of class, I never go over the syllabus. I would always have some kind of interactive game that they would have to play with one another. Then I could see who did parallel play, who engaged with one another, who were the people that were not as extroverted, right? Or those that were more reserved. I could see who are my natural leaders there. I could see, okay, maybe I need to be careful or worried about this person, or this person stayed with themselves. How do I then group? So then I was looking at my first day in my lesson where these kids were interacting to solve this massive problem together. And then I would take notes for myself on how do I group the kids based upon what I just saw. So that's how I spent my first day. This is something similar, but in the choice board. I thought this was really interesting. This is something obviously is used to get to know each other. I like it. There's another one that I would put on there, 2 truths and a lie. Yeah, that's cool. I love that. The kids love it. And then Among Us, there's a little slide template on there. But look, this is pretty cool because then at least kids love to make memes, by the way. Janelle Scully at the end of the year, the last little project they do are math memes. They're hilarious. They're hilarious. After their exams are over and they relax, they do math memes. But they have to construct their own. This is also, so it obviously can relate also to, health and wellness. Like, what did I do this summer? It was COVID. I might phrase that a little bit different. What did I do? And then it says list your ingredients. It's not just a response. I thought that was really cool. Very creative. Teaching Factor 2020, 8th grade English. I love you. But anyway, so there you go. So that's the other thing that I advise is that after it's over, I think at the bottom of your choice board, I usually have a submission button. So all my kids would submit in one Google form the links to all their activities. That is a time saver, folks. Create a Google form outside and then do a text box at the bottom of your document. And it's called submission or Google form. And you let the kids click on it, and then they submit all their links to all their activities. So they had to do 5 for tic-tac-toe, so that you're not searching all over the world for something shared. It's one Google form for that kid with their name on it. Okay, now if it's homework,
Then you get it as the sheet.
You get a sheet and it has all their homework. Yeah. Oh my God, it's such a hack. It's such a hack, but it's, especially when they're doing a long-term major assessment. So we use them a lot for major assessments in book studies. We did one on The Outsiders last year, To Kill a Mockingbird, do different classes, and as an alternative assessment. But you get 5 submissions from every kid. Well, some of like in Spanish and French, they use an electronic notebook, so they put all their submissions in their e-notebook. If you're not doing that, no, you're going to kill you. You'd lose your mind. Then you just have that form sent as a copy to all your kids, and then it's actually in a link in the bottom of that HyperDoc. Bam, you're finished. You get one spreadsheet with everyone's links. This is what I would put. I always do a little, every time I gave a test, I always gave it something called a second chance assessment. At the bottom were always 3 reflective questions. What would I have studied more? What was I surprised about? And and maybe like what was the most difficult question and why? Well, same thing. I would, especially maybe not knowing my students as well, or say, hey, what do you really like? What do you really want? Because I can guarantee if I'm teaching 7th grade science, everyone's choice board, maybe in every class shouldn't look the same. Maybe the activities may be a little different, but theoretically, the elements as far as what we're asking to learn will be the same. I like to ask them why. Why did you pick that activity? Or you may not have to have 3, or hey, what would you like to see on this board? If you were going to design this board, what activity would you put on there and why? So, and it's really quick and it's outside of the board, right? It's kind of an extension, if you will, because then you're automatically adding student reflection and student voice. You can ask them to do a flip grid. Hey, flip grid me your reflection on the choice board. Or
asked my student the last day what they enjoyed, what they liked, what they got the most out of, what they did not like, why.
I think that's important. I think, what do they say? They say, how do you know if a student's engaged? It's not about how they look. You have to ask them, where are you today? A lot of kids are really strategically compliant, which means I'm a good kid. I'm not going to make waves. I'm going to sit here and be quiet. I'm going to look like I'm going to pay attention. But we don't know what's going on in here, right? We know the retreatists, the rebellious type, the ones that are retreating because they're doing everything they can to get, themselves off topic. But if I'm strategically compliant versus engaged, I don't know the difference. When you start asking what they want to do, they really love that, especially here. I know it's important everywhere, but they love it when you try to get to know who they are as individual human beings. I think you've heard that over and over. But I always add a little reflection. So the elements of it, I think that you guys have built them before. This is a better way for LDD kids, than the one where you fill in the blocks as far as the coloration. Again, here's a nice tic-tac-toe board where, okay, they're creating something, they're collaborating, they're assessing, and then they color code it. So this, I think that's super hard, okay? A free choice, but so difficult. What would a kid, let's think about that. You're already giving them a choice, and then you're saying free choice. What does that mean? You'll have some kids that will freak out. What do you mean I have a free choice? What can I do with it? What am I supposed to do? Oh my God, what do they want? What is he trying to do? Is he trying to trick me? So I would put a little note message in there and saying, hey, if you're really doing that, okay, fine. But I would put a mote message in there, your audio, great little tool, and say, hey, just want to let you know, blah, blah, blah. This is what it means, free choice. I would like you to think about, or I want you to do this one last. Whatever it happens to be. Know your audience. There, up there, it says tic-tac-toe board for teachers. It tells you why we're building teacher capacity to use technology. Should have some directions, and then your choice. Okay, should I have on the board? It says choose 3 in a row, horizontally, vertically, or diagonally, because some people will say, oh, can I do 4 corners? And no, that's not tic-tac-toe. Also, people are talking about 4 corners. I think that's bingo, if I'm not mistaken, but nonetheless. The purpose of learning goal, I don't like to say objective, but if you have to put your objective, but in student speak, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? The directions, yes. The packaging, your color, layout, language, links are all important. People say, this is a much better layout than the 4 C's because they didn't color in those blocks. Okay. Questions, comments, things you want to add? All right. Yeah, so let's go to the Jamboard. And now, here's the thing. You don't do it alone, your first choice board. You take a template, like, for example, 7th and 8th grade math, summer reading. We had and I was like, oh my God, it was the first year of COVID. In March, everyone's going on home learning. Do you think I'm going to ask my head of department at that time to do summer reading lists for the kids and people? So no. So David Menard helped me. I said, okay. And then I said, you do the book list. So my head of department did the book list. I had Tatiana at the time from LDD, great specialist, and Kevin and David. And we kind of I said, here's the template we're going to use. No choice. Because you start getting into the iffy areas. Then David got the PDFs. They got the book list together. I had the activities. Tatiana and Kevin kind of modified them. And that was it. Bam. We had that puppy done literally. A choice board of meaningful activities with links that kids would guess. And guess what? We did one for 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. And honestly, it's the first year we hadn't had any complaints about the summer reading. First year. And we did it again this year, a choice board. So do not do that to yourselves. Bless you. No. You're right. When am I going to have the time? Don't do it yourself. Get a key group of individuals. I did. It was accomplished by any one person. So you have your 10th grade. You could also do, by the way, a choice board across curricular areas. You have a 10th grade team, a year 10 team. Great. What do we want to do? A choice board or a bingo board for homework that may be better. So that's super good. So yeah, you don't want to do it by yourself. But once you get one done, I stick with a similar templates and go with it. All right. So what I want you guys to do now, you're just going to chat amongst yourselves. You have access to this. Is just now this is text instead of sticky notes. So if you will, I want you guys I'm going to give you let's do 5-minute brainstorming on activities. Now let's not mix the activities with the tools. Then I'm going to share with you I'm going to combine both Jamboards from the other session and this session and share it with you. So by the end of the time, you have all these learning activities for exploration, for practice, and showcase that you can bam, bam, bam choose. This is easy. So for example, an activity here, let's say I want the kids to make a video. Where would that go? If I'm going to have them make an activity, showcase. So one of you guys type it, make a video.
I was going to say, my mine's disconnected. So
Yours is disconnected. The Wi-Fi is disconnected again. Yeah. So
But it's not showing.
he's typing and it's not showing on a collaborative tool.
Okay.
Oh, there it goes. Okay, so here. So immersive storytelling. Okay, so you put something different. So that's exploring. All right, so can you put down here, creating a video, making a video,
Under practice.
learning, showcase. Show me what you know. Jazz hands.
like a showcasing would be maybe something like creating a poster.
Creating a poster.
Summary poster.
But your tools will be like Blogster, Flipgrid, TikTok, whatever it happens to be. So you guys chat, come up with a list. I'm going to add, as you guys add to that, you can do it by yourself. You guys can chat amongst yourselves. And I'm just going to add some different activities in the list as well. And then I will keep refreshing it. I think you're lagging. Are you offline completely?
Yeah.
Offline.
And practicing something for me is going to be like doing.
No, but don't here. Look, this is just making a video. So let's take that because it could be a TED Talk. Then over here is the tool, right? TikTok, Flipgrid, whatever it happens to be. Because I want just a list of learning activities here. How you do it's up to you. The tool you ask the kids to use. Or if you want them to make a video or create a TED Talk or create a commercial or an advertisement or a PSA, a public service announcement. Those are all activities. I think they're going to try to get you back online. So I'm going to add some things here that we just talked about while you guys add. So I think Todd, you're the only one that can type because she can't type. So if you'll type in some of her ideas.
I'm thinking about practicing for me in science is going to be like actually completing with it. Like,
Which one do you want under, exploring, practicing, or showcasing?
practicing learning. Yeah, practicing learning for me it's going to be then actually like, completing.
What is it?
Making, yeah, doing quiz.
And then just so you know, it's a collaborative, Dina, it's a collaborative document. Dina, it's a,
And then what-
can you refresh as you add them so I don't add the same things?
I just- So the way that it works is you have to type in it and then click outside of the text box and then.
Yeah, I know, but on mine it's not. Okay, so completing quizzes, did you put, okay, you put practice learning. Quizzes, I'm going to put,
The tool is what?
Alright. Oh, so the tool might be like quiz,
Quizzes or Kahoot.
quizzes or Kahoot.
yeah, that's cool. It's for you guys really, just so that you can know, oh yeah,
On the ones for showcase learning. Oh, I'm in.
yay. Have you guys ever used Storyboard That? So good. It's so easy to learn. By the way, it's pretty cool. Let's see. Reflections. So what are some other things? Let's see. I like a good, we have someone, oh, Tom, he does a lot of podcasting with his kids. I really like it. But he does a lot for showcasing learning. I guess that could be used almost like some people do the TED Talk-esque type things, which are, the podcasting. So I think Bokaroo is really good for podcasting. Flipgrid.
Deleting my things.
Flipgrid. It won't let you type in.
So like every time I double click on it,
And actually shouldn't it be anything with double clicking, which is I find very interesting. Why it's not just letting us do it. It's gotta be something with the internet. Something I can think of. All right. Yeah, I can't even access that. All right, so we have a fairly good list. So we have TED Talks. Do you guys do infographics with your kids?
I have not done infographics, but I've had kids where I've given free choice.
Yeah.
Choose to do that over infographics.
I love when the kids do it. They love to do an infographic. So, and it's so interesting.
so I have that as
I can still add folks. So I'm going to let you guys, I'm going to let you guys talk and then I can type in. Sorry, go ahead.
also something.
Where would you want to put that? Because it can be, you know, interviewing could be exploratory, like if, yeah.
Interviewing is a skill set.
You hit it right on the head. Guess what? It depends on what your directions are. If I'm interviewing
But like
people that were, I don't know, nurses when COVID hit, that's really exploring, right? I'm like, I want to know what happened. Where I could be practicing something I already know and interviewing for that purpose. So it's about the purpose too.
So, like, students, they practice being a webcam
Yeah.
type of journalist and interviewing the faculty about experience.
Mm.
I also have them act like a journalist who and they would have to talk about it. Especially during like hurricane.
That's practicing what they know. So as well. So that's going to be under interviewing or news broadcast. Yeah, I'm going to put here also timelines that can be interactive. They don't have to be super boring. A book snap, and also news broadcast, newspaper, and all, or it could be showcasing. All right, let's go. We have a good list. I'm going to share the other list. It's massive as well. So let's go over here to the tools. What are the tools that you guys are using? So I put, you know, I don't want to put what I think is good to use. We have reflections. We can use Flipgrid. You can use video reflections. You can use docs. You can use the Google suite of tools. Docs, slides, online notebook, which can be in a slide or a from Slides Mania. Here's what you want to do. What are some tools that you guys use?
Jamboard.
Yeah, so that's in G Suite, but I'll put include. So like for posting information, like researching, I will say that if you know BlendSpace, okay, Wakelet, they're all this very same, or Pinterest, by the way, all the same. So, Pinterest. Okay, BlendSpace, Wakelet, and Pinterest. They're basically, if you're doing research, the kids can actually put their research in a space instead of saying, okay, Wakelet is basically, you're just pinning stuff. If you have Pinterest, it can get overwhelming. But if you have kids using Pinterest or Wakelet or BlendSpace.
Do you get them to say, I want you to research, this is not from science, but ideas for your design that you're going to make in design pack?
Yeah.
They would go through and they can just Pinterest add things they like.
Pick an
What
app.
I do at home.
Yeah.
That's why I want my outdoor space to look
Exactly.
like. And they just share them with you.
Yes. Done. Wakelet is educational. You don't want them on Pinterest. But yes, it's done. BlendSpace, similar, but BlendSpace, you can add the kids can add quizzes. So if you could say, on your research board, I would like to see 3 videos, 4 journal articles, 5, so I would say, or whatever it happens to be as your beginning part of your research. Because then they can share them with each other in your classroom so that they have this anthology of research. Or they can go in there and peer review. Hey, this is our end topic. Were your resources helpful? And they can give feedback to one another as well. So you can use it beyond the choice board. All right, let's see. I don't know. I love those.
The one that on Adobe, I put Adobe Suite.
Adobe Spark.
A Spark.
I love it.
Yeah, my kids love it.
The kids love it. It's super great.
A lot of them use that for videos.
They can no longer add information to the shared doc, so I'm doing it. Okay. So Adobe Spark is really great. I love it. Book Creator. I love Book Creator. And you can use it for. Yes, they will love to do it. And so the only thing I don't like is you can't add an animated GIF yet to Book Creator, which I always get. because I do a lot of books. So I have my little library and I do Bitmojis and da da da. So you create a video for everything, and that's why you can get around it. But it's like, but it's okay.
Very good.
Seesaw, I think a lot of primary people will use it, but it's still a good one. Older one, but a good one. Blog post, answer garden. By the way, Screencastify, super easy. We use it here a lot for kids to do any kind of. You can add it. It's an add-on. I haven't added the read write toolbar, a lot of things like that. All right, so there we are. Now is the time where you say, okay, I've given you a ton of resources. Now, here's the one that Lady did in ThingLink. Do not use this unless you use ThingLink. But you can use any, like I use Blendspace and Wakelet. I might choose to do a choice board, and Tom uses ThingLink, which, okay, he's already in there and his kids are already using ThingLink. Okay, there we go. It makes sense for them to. But if you haven't ever checked out ThingLink, super great. And I know folks that will be happy to do staff development on it, but I think it's awesome because you can do all your right ideas there, your reading, your responses, your reflections, more information on a topic. And it's pretty graphically, I think it's simple but beautiful. The designs and the graphics in there are nice. Then
I saw that somebody said that the extension where you can annotate and update.
oh yeah, there are so many good add-ons and extensions that you can use. Insert learning.
That's the one.
It's my favorite one, by the way. It's my favorite one. I offered a staff development on it last year and no one came. But I was like, okay, maybe I'm just the only one in love with it, but it's so good. Insert learning.
I used it with my top students to read research papers, like university research papers.
Yeah.
And where I like insert learning.
Here we are.
And I would like highlight things and say to them, you should be able to understand this bit of this paragraph.
So I'm pointing. I'm
It's
pointing.
so good.
I am actually pointing at the insert learning right now. I'm not sure. It's this. No, insert learning. It's one of the most, for LDD, for advanced kids, it's one of the most amazing tools, and it's free. It's awesome. It's called Insert Learning, and it's in the add-ons and extensions. And it's also in the tech guide that I put in the teacher classroom, and it has a video tutorial on how to use it yourself. Insert Learning, amazing. So here I have, for the rest of the time, whether you, I know there's only a few of us here, but the rest of the time is really for you guys to select. I have a couple just blank boards in here. Anything you see in here, just right click or just make a copy of it. And, you know, to say, oh, I want to do this, or I want to talk to my team to work on it. Anything you see, just make a copy, delete the information, and away we go with the choice boarding. Just a lot of things to think about and to consider. But at the end of the day, it will increase engagement. You will know your students a whole lot better. And adding that extension, this is where I would put that, by the way, the Google form button for submission. I would just put it at the bottom. If you don't want to do that, this is a very basic one. You can add your little images to it. Maybe right here, just add a text box and say submission. That way you don't have any directions. Another, again, one more time about Mote. I can't say it enough. I like to have a clean looking board with maybe a graphic. So I might add my Mote. So you would just record your directions real quickly. So I'm going to add the extension. I have it as an add-on here. It should open up and allow me to record all of my directions that I want to give for whatever topic it happens to be. Then I click done. Okay, then it'll ask me basically where I want it. So I'm just going to say, yeah, I would like to have it here. Yeah.
Because I've used it to give feedback to the kids about their work and touching, but I haven't ever thought to use it to give instruction.
I love it to get instruction. I think I'm going to show you. So what I do first is I create my little Mote button, by the way.
just done that now.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I just did it.
So
now.
I just have my-
It wasn't done.
My first set of directions. It's so slow. IT's here watching to see why it's so slow, or they're seeing if it is slow, in fact. Well, here's what I do. So as soon as that recording comes up, normally, okay, so there, I have my Moat recording. I can actually go to the website because it saves all my Moat recordings under one location. I could record it here if I want to save it. So now I have 2 Moat messages, or I can go here, which is what I like to do. I prefer to do. Let me just type something. Directions. So I've already typed the word directions that will appear in 5 minutes after I type it. And then I like to do this. Or I can just insert directions on something else. Insert a comment, and my Moat extension comes up automatically. Okay, so then here is where I say, hey, welcome to class. These are the directions for the first space. And your tic-tac-toe chart today, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and then I'm done. And it will insert automatically with a little baby icon, yeah? And then I could, if I want to add anything else, no, I want to comment. Okay, now I can do it that way. Now, which means that every time the kids come to that, they can see it. Now, I like it when it shows little icon inside the document. So you just insert the Moat icon. I do the web picture, and then I actually attach here. If this was any faster, I could show you very quickly. I attach my Moat message, the link that gives me up here with the Moat message. I attach it to the little M icon, which I like better because it just has, oh, Moat. And then I keep that Moat on my clipboard all the time. So if is your computer, you have the Moat add-on? Okay. All right, because mine is completely frozen out. It's not doing anything. So there. My recent Moats, here I can go. Well, you can't see it because it's there. Okay, so here it has the clipboard. And I would take my recent Moat. I've copied it. And I insert. And that way the kids, if you use the same little icon, which I have for like my HyperDocs, the same icon means the same thing. Like, oh, this or lips or mouth. And I just use Moat as my insert the image. And I can just search the web and I can type in Moat and it'll give me the little Moat logo. And then you just put it in there. So they know it's your Moat message. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Any questions, comments? All right. So the next thing to do is just really to get started. So I'm going to